Hi, this is the first of some videos on how to use the TI BA2 Plus for financial calculations, but in this video we're going to mostly do the very basics. So it would be good if you had your own calculator to follow along and click on the buttons as I click on them on this simulator using my mouse. And so here we go. Let's talk about what we're going to do first. Okay, first we're going to turn it on. So hopefully you can find the on-off button right here where the mouse is. There it is. It showed up, and my calculator turned on. And now I want to change it. You'll notice that the default is to have 2 decimals after the decimal point, and but it's common in finance to want more accuracy than that. So let's change it to 4. So I have to click on second here, and then I have to go down to the decimal point and click on format. And there are several entries in the format that we're going to talk about, but first the decimal. So all I have to do is change that 2 to a 4. You do that by clicking on the 4 and then hit enter. And then to get out of the format menu, you say second quit. You notice the quit written right over the CPT key. Okay, so we've done that, and here's a little summary of what we did. Second format, 4, enter, second quit. Okay, now let's talk about calculation. There are actually 2 systems you can use, and if you're used to a scientific calculator, you probably were more familiar with the algebraic operating calculation system. But for finance calculations, it turns out to be slightly more efficient to use the chain system, which we will be using throughout these videos. But just to explain the difference, the calculator has both of them. So in the here's how you would set it. First of all, it's also on format. So I have to go back and click on second format, and then I have to find the operating system, which I think is either, it's only 1 arrow up. When I write 2 arrows there, I mean click arrows until you get to it. You can see right now it's set on chain. And if I were to hit second set, so second set is over the enter key, that changes it to AOS. If I hit second set again, it changes it back to chain. So let me change it back to chain. Well, let's just see what we're going to do. A few examples of the difference in it. So the chain system, you execute operations from left to right. There's no precedence. You just go from left to right. So it's one after the other. So for instance, 4 plus 2 times 5. So if I type that, and by the way, to get out of format, I have to say second quit. So if I type that, I'm going to say 4, then the plus, then the 2, and then I'm going to say times. Now you notice as soon as I hit times, it did the previous operation. 4 plus 2 is 6. And now I say 5, and then finally I say equals, and I get 30. So we get out of the chain, out of that expression, we get the parentheses around the 4 plus 2, and you end up getting 6 times 5 is 30. So you have to be careful because that's not the standard assumption in algebra about how to interpret this expression. The standard order of precedence is the algebraic operating system. So let's go switch to that. And that one, there's a precedence. Exponents are done before multiplication of division, and multiplication and division are done before addition and subtraction. So if we go back to our little example here, 4 plus 2 times 5, in the algebraic operating system, it will do the multiplication first, then the addition. And so let's just see how that works out. And you can predict, by the way, what the so I have to change it to AOS. I have to go find AOS. Then I have to say second set, second quit. All right, now I'm in the AOS system, and I can say the exact same buttons I did before. 4 plus 2 times, notice it didn't do anything to the 2 this time, and then I say 5, and then I say equals. And the answer is 14, because if you do the 2 times 5 first, you get 10. You add it to 4, you get 14. So you got to be careful. You may be used to algebraic, but I strongly recommend the chain system. It has a lot of advantages in dealing with financial formulas. So, all right, let's go back to the chain system. So I'll go back to second set, or no, I'm sorry, second format, up arrow, second set. That gets me back to that, second quit. So I'm in the chain system, and I'll stay there for the rest of these videos. All right. Now, if I want to clear the calculator, I can say, here's the clear, basic clear button is down here, CE/C. That has a couple of meanings in a different context, but one thing is it just clears the window and puts a 0 back there. If there's some other clears as well, you might notice that above the clear button is clear work. So we're going to see that there's a bunch of worksheets, the CF worksheet, the TVM worksheet, the bond worksheet, and you can clear those by entering the worksheet and then saying clear work, second clear work, and that'll clear that. And the TVM is a little bit different. It has its own, the TVM consists of these 5 buttons, and it has its own clear button, clear TVM. Okay, so that's clearing. And we'll get to the TVM worksheet in a later video. And then you might notice reset here over the plus minus button. If you say second reset and then say yes or enter, it will clear the whole calculator. So for instance, let's just do that. If I say second reset, it says, do you really want to reset? That's a question mark there. And I'll say, yeah. And there it is. And it reset me. You notice I got back to 2 decimals. So reset changes all your settings, whatever you've set, back to the default settings. And that's okay, but I'd rather have 4 decimals anyway, so I'll change it back. I said second format, 4, enter. There we go. Second quit. Okay. What else to say here? Okay, rounding. The calculator maintains 12 decimals of accuracy. So you have to take that in mind when you're doing rounding on the calculator. So for instance, if I were to do 2 divided by 3, you can see that it rounded 0.6667. Okay. And, but if I were to do, this is equal to, well, all right, so we did it with 2 decimals here, it was 0.67. But if you were to, and if you were to double that, you'd get 2 times 2/3, which we know is going to be 4/3. But if I multiply this by 2, I'm going to get 1.33333. Well, there's a problem there, because if I had 6667 and doubled it, but that is not the same as 2 times the number ending with 7, because I'd end up with a 4 at the end of it. So you got to be careful. The calculator is maintaining the accuracy to 12 decimals and rounding when you you get to the end there like that. Okay, let's go on to the next thing here. Okay. All right, let's do a few basic calculations just to see how to use the calculator. So here's a standard calculation that comes up in finance. It's 1.06 to the t power equals 2. How do I solve that? And you probably know how to do it by logs. It's you take logs of both sides, so you end up with t equals 2 log 2 over log 1.06. So the way you can do that is you type 2. Well, I'm going to type clear here, and then type 2. Then here's the natural log button over here. And then I'm going to say divide, and I'm going to say 1.06. So I say enter in the other base over there, and notice it hasn't done anything yet. I can hit log, which operates on whatever number is in the window, and that's the log of 1.06. And now at the end, I know that it has log 2 divided by log 1.06. And so if I say equals, I get my answer. And you see that it's 11.8957. And if you were to do this in, if this were measured in years, if time was in years, this corresponds to the famous rule of 72, which is that if my interest rate is 6%, then the time for an account to double is 72 divided by 6, which is roughly 12. And you can see it turned out roughly 12. So that's a little verification of that famous rule, approximation rule, in doubling your money. Okay, let's do another one. Solve 1 plus I to the 6th equals 2. So this will turn out to be an equation that's asking for the interest rate such that over 6 periods I double my money. And I don't have to use logs to do that. That's a straight algebraic calculation. All I have to do is take the 6th root. So I'll take the 6th root. So the 6th root of 2 minus 1 will be I. And here's how you do it on the calculator. I'll write the buttons out so you can try it. Powers are done by this y to the x button here. So you say 2 y to the x. And now I'm going to type 6, but I really want 1/6, not 6. And there's a button for that. The 1 over x operates on the number in the window. And that gave me 1/6. And okay, now, so I have 2 to the 1/6 in there. When I hit minus, you notice that it did it. 1.1225 is 2 to the 1/6. And now I say 1, and then equals, and that's it, 0.1225, which is 6 decimals, is 0.122462. And so I know that my interest rate to double my money in 6 years is 12.24%. Okay, let's do another one. So if I wanted to make that a percentage, you actually have to multiply it by 100. There you go, 12.25%. Okay, so let's go on and do one more example. 1.06 to the 6th power minus 1 over 1.06 squared minus 1. This is going to demonstrate the parentheses keys. So the top is no problem. I can do that as 1.06 y to the x 6th minus 1, just like we did before. And that turns out to be 0.4185. Okay, now, so we're all the way through here, but I need the denominator, and you can't just start typing it again because you need all that stuff in the denominator calculated before you divide. So I'm going to say divide, and then I'm going to say left parenthesis. And now I can type the denominator in. I'm going to use 1.06 to the squared power. There is actually a squared power, this x squared button. So if you click that, it squares it, minus 1. Okay, now I'm ready to close parentheses. And when I do that, I got the value of the denominator. And if I want the answer, I have to say equals. And I get 3.3861. And that is the answer to that problem. Okay, if I didn't have the parentheses there, let's do it again without the parentheses. And I'll do every single button exactly the same. I'll do 1.06 y to the x sixth minus 1. Okay, so that is going to be correct. The numerator is correct. If I hit divide, I still get 0.4185. But here's where it goes bad. I say 1.06 squared. Okay, that's correct. But as soon as I hit minus, it did the division. So that was wrong, because we don't want to do the division until after the minus. So if I say 1 and then equals, I end up getting a negative number, which is not what we wanted for this expression. So you're going to have to imagine where the parentheses are put in place in order to have the chain system correctly calculate your expression. Anyway, that's it. That's all we're doing in this unit. And next time we'll get on to some compound interest. Okay, see y'all later.